What's going on, Nerd Nation? Welcome back to episode 39 of the Comic Book Nerd Nation podcast. Today we've got the whole damn crew here. I'm Fox2. We got Pirate.
Hey.
Topher.
Hey. That's my pirate impression.
And Brian.
That's my pirate impression.
Fantastic. Okay, Brian, let's start with you. What have you been reading this week?
This week, my mention is Batman and Robin. The number slips me right now, but it's still going on with the Robin Omega story where Darkseid's minions have stole Damian's body and Talia's body. So Batman is getting all pissed off and wants to go invade Apocalypse alone. Pretty good story. I like it. It's good action. It's basically Batman going up against the Justice League because they're trying to stop him from going to Apocalypse alone before he kills himself again. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Batman's on a fucking suicide mission with this cool bat suit that has each of the Justice League members. It's called the Hellbat suit, and each of the Justice League members have contributed to it just in case shit goes down and, you know, Bruce Wayne, having no powers, needs something to kick some ass with.
So to give the gadget guy another gadget.
Yeah, basically. It's like, here, have another present just to kick our asses with.
Where does he get such wonderful toys?
All right. Topher, what about you? What have you been reading?
Let's see here. I've actually read a bunch of stuff. Nothing terribly new, but I had read AVX a while back, and so and then I was reading all the Marvel Cosmic stuff. So now I've been reading like all the stuff that kind of bridges the gap there, and like the fallout from AVX. So I've read a bunch of random Avenger stuff, some X-Men stuff. That kind of leads all into the whole Marvel Now thing that they've had going on for the last year and a half or so. So I'm like finally getting current on all my comics, which is good. But the standout star of all that for me was the new Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction. I know it's gotten a lot of hype and whatnot, but it actually really is that good. I read the first issue and was just like, damn, that was good. It's kind of cool because you don't have to have a whole lot of continuity knowledge to get into it. The premise is it's kind of basically what Hawkeye's doing in his normal life when he's not running around with the Avengers. And so like it's kind of like some more personal life stuff, some almost quiet downtime, but it's very minimalist in its approach, and it's really well balanced between having some action, some plot, some good story, and it's not like too heavy, like the world is ending kind of stuff, but it's not like super lighthearted either. Like it's just a really damn good comic.
Nice. What about you, Pirate?
Let's see. I read some Army of Darkness.
That's a good view you got at the top of your head, by the way.
Yeah. I was just going through my iPad saying I read. Some Army of Darkness comics. Been reading a bunch of random Punisher comics. Only because we I haven't read any specific storyline of the Punisher one, but Fox has been on this script writing thing, and I thought to myself, how awesome would it be if a script was made of the ultimate Punisher movie ever? Because the last three, they all had good stuff, they all had bad stuff. I'm going to write the ultimate Punisher script and do nothing with it except admire it. So I've been reading a lot of random shit. And it's like taking notes, like how, and then watching the movies, like, hey, this is what I didn't like, so I'm going to change it. And it's just for merely my own pleasure. And
when you're done writing your script, we should record a dramatic reading of it.
Oh man,
dude, yeah, I could give you guys copies.
That could be kind of fun.
Parts.
Can I be Frank Castle's wife dying?
God.
Whoa!
God.
You can audition.
Right. So is that's it for your reading report, if you will?
Yeah, that's really all. Yeah, that's. I think I read some. Hold on here. I read some more. Yeah, it's from some old Hellboys. I went back and started doing those.
Nice.
But yeah, nothing really too much. I've been addicted to Hearthstone, so I haven't had much time for anything other
Back
than that.
on the video gaming thing.
It's just, and I have it on my iPad and my Mac, so like no matter where I'm at, I'm just staring at these fucking cards, like bashing into each other.
Yeah.
I would have read a lot more comics this week if I hadn't found out that I could get Plants vs Zombies on my tablet, and that's been a pretty big time sink.
Is that the Garden Warfare one, or is that?
It's the Plants vs Zombies 2. It's on.
They just came out for console, and it's been out. Well, they just came out for PS3. It's been out for a while on like Xbox and PC. But Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, which is like a third-person shooter.
What?
It's really cool looking. Yeah. I'm probably gonna pick it up and at least record some stuff for my YouTube channel.
It was pretty funny that we're sitting at the bar last Wednesday, and I have my iPad out. Chris has his Nook out, and he's playing Plants vs Zombie, and I'm over there playing Hearthstone. We both just got our beers and our heads faced just down in our shit, like totally ignoring everything.
Let's see. This week I read. I actually haven't even read the Batman Eternal yet for this week. I just haven't got around to it. That was the only thing that I picked up at the comic book store this week. It was a real light week. But I did read, I had a couple old like Batman non-continuity books that I read. Spawn and Spawn Batman that had the Frank Miller story with the McFarlane art.
Oh yeah, I have those. Those are pretty cool.
I didn't like it at all.
They're pretty cool, but they're not good stories.
Yeah, the story was shit. The art was like okay at times. Like he drew a badass Spawn in every frame, but like a lot of the Batman drawings were just like you don't even see Bruce Wayne's like chin or mouth or any like definition of his face until like 60% of the way through the book. And it's like, it's just really, I just didn't really care for the way he was drawing Batman most of the time.
Was it shadowed or was it just like...
It was shadowed, but it was shadowed, but it was like done in a manner that like, it was overdone to the point where it felt like he just didn't want to fucking draw a Batman. Like with any level of detail. So like the whole Batman was fucking shadowed, like from head to toe, like 80% of the time.
Is that the issue?
I think that was one of the things
at the end Batman throws his Batarang into Spawn's face.
Yeah, it's that one.
I think that's something that Todd McFarlane does a lot with. I think that's why Spawn was able to be drawn the way it was, because if he wants to control shadows, he can just have some crazy element of Spawn, like, you know, moving around, like his cape floating around and whatever. See, I mean, like he could just control the light. And whatever.
Well, like the Spawn in every frame, like in one frame, you would have Batman and Spawn talking to each other, and the Spawn would be like super ultra detailed, like he was under a spotlight, and then Batman would be just all shadowed out head to toe, and it just looked shitty. It looked lazy on the Batman end of it. Then the
I haven't even been to the comic store in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
I'm like 2 weeks behind. Well, I went out of town for Gen Con for a weekend. I left on Comic Book Day 2 weeks ago, and then I was out of town all weekend, and then I was back and busy trying to catch up on everything that I missed. And then I meant to go this morning and was busy doing other stuff, and so now it's like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's not an excuse. You go find a comic book store wherever you are.
The other thing that I read that was really neat, and I'm assuming possibly none of you even heard of this. I hadn't heard of it. It's called
we got a hipster.
It's called Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, aren't they doing something in November or October called Gotham After Midnight?
I don't know. This has nothing to do with that. I'm sure this is like a reimagining of the Batman in the 1800s, basically. Like it's like a what if Batman was in Gotham in the 1800s, and so it pits Batman against Jack the Ripper.
Interesting.
Which is it's a really neat story because you think about it, like that's like the ultimate mystery, really. Like,
yeah,
you know, they never solved it. It was, you know, and Batman. It shows Batman like studying to be Batman overseas with like Sigmund Freud and all these different like people, and then like he comes back to Gotham, and it's really. I mean, obviously, it's not the traditional.
Right. No.
But it's really interesting. It's a really good story. The way that it's written and everything. I would definitely recommend it. Like if you want to borrow it and read it.
Freud, like sitting around with like Bruce Wayne on a couch, like tell me about your mother.
Dude, it's kind of like that.
She's dead. She got
for real.
died.
It's kind of like that.
Horse.
That's exactly like you're. Yeah, dude. It's kind of like that. It's pretty neat. So yeah, it's really cool because you got, you know, one of the most famous serial killers out there, Jack the Ripper, in history, versus the world's greatest detective, which is Batman. It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. I looked at the art and because this is a little bit older book, I imagine probably like early 90s, mid 90s, something like that. And the art wasn't kind of there for me too much.
Who's the artist?
Oh God, I couldn't even tell you. I honestly couldn't even tell you. But the story made up for it. It was a good read.
It's Batman or Gotham Gaslight Gotham.
Gotham by Gaslight. But yeah, it was. Like I said, I would highly recommend. Highly recommend you guys check it out, or if there's any Batman fans out there. Real quick before we get into.
I don't think there's any Batman fans out there.
No, probably not.
He's not very popular.
Mike Mignola is the artist.
Oh, okay. Real quick, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's discussion.
Oh, we're getting meat and potatoes? I'm hungry.
Seriously, that is like the best news I've heard all day.
How was Gen Con, Topher? Just briefly, because I imagine we'll probably either have an article on the website about it or like maybe a dedicated half episode where you talk about it or something.
So Gen Con was good. For those who don't know, Gen Con it's a gaming convention that's held every year in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's sort of like Comic-Con, except the focus is more on games rather than comics. But it's
not
sort of the same
games, just to clarify.
Right.
Not
It's more.
games.
It's like pretty much every other kind of game. You've got
Monopoly.
Tabletop board games, tabletop RPGs like D&D and things like that. Card games, Magic, other like Legendary, the Marvel card game that I know. I know a few of you played. They had a big booth there again this year. So it's actually really kind of fun. And like HeroClix, if you've ever played the little miniatures games.
I got HeroClix.
Yeah, so it's like kind of any kind of.
Sorry.
I beat me to it, damn
it. Any kind of
they look awesome.
Any kind of game thing like is pretty represented there. So
Are your HeroClix this big, Brian?
That's either the biggest hero clit I've ever seen or the littlest hero dick.
All right, sorry, Topher. Continue.
So it's a 4-day convention. It happens every year in Indy in summer, and they've got a huge exhibit hall. You can walk around. They've got all kinds of random nerdy stuff, games, anime-related stuff. This actually was the first year where I saw a booth in the exhibit hall where there was actually someone selling comics. Traditionally, they kind of leave that to Comic-Con and let this one focus more on games. But there actually was a guy there, Cornfield Comics from Indiana, who we actually was actually talked to at Gem City Comic-Con a few months back. So yeah, all in all, it was a lot of fun, and some more information about it, or run down.
We'll look for the full review on the website.
It was good. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's jump right in. Everybody has been wanting to talk about this. Today, spoilers. Fucking whatever. I'll do it this way. I'll do it that way. Whatever. spoilers, because we're going to be doing a full-blown discussion and review and our thoughts and everything about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie that came out a couple weeks ago, and all of us have seen now, so we don't have to worry about anything there. Let's start with Brian, since he was the #1 fanboy worldwide for Guardians of the Galaxy.
We're talking about how Godzilla ended, right?
Right.
No, but I thought the movie was fucking awesome. I mean, Marvel took a chance with a group of characters that nobody really knew or heard of, and just fucking hit a home run. Several home runs. Even hit a couple of fucking newborn babies in the face with those home runs.
Damn.
But,
Kissing hands and shaking babies.
I mean, to me, going into the movie, I knew who they were. So, but if I went into this movie without knowing anything, I think their origins in the beginning, to explain why they're here and stuff like that and where they came from, was awesome. I didn't give a shit that they changed some of them drastically, like Star-Lord's he got picked up by the Ravengers when he was after his mother died. In the comics, he was an astronaut and went into space and got stuck out there. I mean, God, I'm trying to pull the images from my head now. I mean, everything from their origins to the explanation for the Infinity Stones to every character from Michael Rooker's Yondu to fucking...
Yondu was the main bad guy, right?
Yondu was the blue guy with the mohawk.
It was Blue Merle, as we called him.
It was Michael Rooker.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
To Benicio del Toro's Collector, I thought everything worked great. I thought the humor fit into everybody's character. I thought each character was, for the most part, strong. I mean, I thought the weakest character was actually Gamora. I didn't think they really went too much into her. And, in the comics, she's supposed to be...
So you'd like to see him go a little deeper inside her.
Yeah, and kind of pull out more... Yes, please go deeper.
That couldn't have worked better.
Follow up with anything better than that, even knowing it.
I didn't even notice it.
Oh,
You didn't even do it on purpose. That's why it's funny.
He had an accidental pull out.
I didn't mean to pull out.
It was premature.
Oh God. So wait a minute. So what was the name of the main villain? The one with the hammer.
Ronan.
Ronan. That was his name. Okay. So I want to offer a quick counterpoint here, and Topher's heard this. I briefly had a 2-minute discussion with him at work about this, but first of all, disclaimer, I loved the movie. I thought the movie was fun. I thought it, like you said, it worked. It was funny at times. It was action at times. It was a good movie. With one glaring problem, in my opinion. One thing that I flat out hated about the movie was throughout the entire movie, they're building up Ronan like he's a fucking hard ass to the point where they've established who Thanos is, and Thanos is just not to be fucked with because nobody wants to fuck with Ronan, and Ronan doesn't want to fuck with Thanos. Then Ronan gets the Infinity Stone, and now he is like, fuck you, Thanos. I'm going to fucking kill you, basically. So then at the very end, fucking Ronan is on the planet's surface, and they don't know what they're going to do. They're waiting on Rocket Raccoon to engineer up a weapon or something. And the solution is that Star-Lord starts dancing, and this makes this hardcore badass criminal fucking just stop in his tracks. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, no, he would just fucking drop the hammer, and that would be it.
That was off.
I thought that was awesome. I thought that was the fucking
because they set it up. They
miserable part of the movie
with Gamora when he was doing it in front of. And she's like, "What are you doing?" because they don't know that. And it's so Footloose because what happens in Footloose? Guy shows up to the town, saves the town of the youth of the town by dancing.
Okay, I mean that's fine. That's fine. That it works in Footloose.
But to defeat a villain like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, can you really say that a person that is so hardcore evil and just dastardly that they would like completely destroy an entire planet? That they would be taken aback at the fact that you're going like this in front of them, doing the Macarena?
He's going to punch him. Drax couldn't fight him. He beat the shit out of Drax, so he obviously can't throw a fist.
Well, I got this. This was also seen in another Marvel movie, Thor: The Dark World. They beat Malkalith, or whatever his name was, with ski pole. Those ski pole things.
True.
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's kind of weak sauce too.
I agree. I don't disagree, but I just don't understand. Like,
yeah,
I get the reference of like what you're saying, Pirate, about how like they kind of built up to something like that, but I feel like they should have done something a little. It shouldn't have just completely halted him in his tracks, like to where he was just like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? What? No. Why are you doing that?" Like, it's one thing if he questions it for like once, for just a quick second, and then goes about like, "All right, fuck this. I'm gonna fucking drop the hammer."
How does he not know?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. The whole thing is, and this has been a thing in Marvel Comics for a long time, like Earth is far behind all the other, cosmic species, but they're unpredictable. Like, no one really knows what they're going to do, and, and like that's what makes people from Earth so dangerous is, like you can't always predict what they're going to do. Like, that's always been a common theme. And like Brian said, Gamora didn't get the whole dancing thing, and you're dealing with a larger galaxy where like technology and magic and weird cosmic powers are now all at play. And so when someone starts doing some weird ritual that you've never seen before, it might be enough to give you pause.
Okay,
especially
but wouldn't your first reaction be to try and stop them from completing said ritual? Like,
maybe.
if you were evil, wouldn't you?
You're also talking about a guy that you just said was arrogant enough to think that he could take on Thanos. And here's something that he doesn't know about. And so I can see where he would possibly stop to consider this or arrogantly think this has no bearing on anything.
I get where you're
Why
coming
do I need
from.
to even smite this insect because I've got a fucking Infinity Stone?
Yeah, I mean, I get
and
where
a big
you're
ass
coming
hammer.
from,
Like I honestly thought it was one of the best parts of the movie because I thought it was fucking hilarious.
See,
I agree with Topher on that. I like it.
I get where you're
Plus,
coming from.
It's a
but
last-ditch effort.
I think they could have done something different there.
Peter Quill in the comics has always been this kind of like half joking, half serious. Like, he's always got a really good plan, but he plays it off like he has no idea what's going on, and it's always really cool because he always kind of plays an idiot when he's really not. And so, like, I think it was a really good way to show that this was kind of a last-ditch effort. Like, oh, fuck, this guy does have a fucking Infinity Stone. He can just smite us all. I have to do something to catch him off guard real quick. Something to catch him unprepared. Like, if he just went at him and attacked him, bam, hammer.
No, I agree. I agree.
If he tried to do anything else, what else could he have done that wouldn't have resulted in bam, hammer?
No, I agree. So, I agree completely. I just think that they in my opinion, at least, and by no stretch of the imagination do I feel like this like really took away from the movie as a whole. I think that they over-exaggerated the like befuddlement that Ronan was feeling, and to the point where it made him look like a fucking idiot. Like, and where I feel like that character, the way that they had established him in the movie, again, I had not read any Guardians of the Galaxy comic book going into this movie, so I only have, just like the general public, I only have what the movie presented me with. And the way they had established Ronan was just an absolutely diabolical, cold-blooded murderer. And they hadn't overly established the fact that, there was the wild card of the human race. They had a little bit, but not a ton. So I felt like they just over exaggerated it a little bit, and they could have just, if they would have just added something else in there into that scene, I think it would have, like they have him start dancing, and then all of a sudden they have Gamora or somebody else do something completely different to also distract in another way. Then it would have played to that vastness of the universe theory and not made him look like a complete, I don't know. It's just my opinion.
What I liked about Hammer one more time.
What I liked about the scene is that when there's lightning, it always brings me down. And I see that it's me who's lost and never found. So I cry out for magic. I feel it dancing in the light. It was cold. My hold. The shadows of the night. It's like a rainbow in the dark.
Rainbow in the dark.
In the dark.
Fair enough.
I did Topher would get where I was going.
I knew it from the very first line.
Brian, what's your opinion? What's your opinion on that scene in particular? Before we go on to the rest of the movie.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, I get what they're saying and I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm. To me, it was just like, oh shit. It was like he had an oh shit moment.
Yeah.
Star-Lord had an oh shit moment. He's like, what do I do? I mean, you always want to see, to me, I love the character of Ronan in the comics because he's so fucking badass. And to see that happen like that, it's kind of disappointing that they took away from such a major character in the comics. But then again, just because he's a major character in the comics doesn't mean he would translate well in the future to the movies. So them doing that is just all right. I mean, it was the same way in Thor: Dark World, and he got beaten by the fucking sticks, but they do it. The movie was still fucking great. I mean, I get the 80s references, like how Chris and John said it's a Footloose moment.
Yeah.
And that movie had tons of those 70s and 80s moments. So, I mean, I'm all right with it.
I thought Star-Lord played that scene really well, and to your point, Fox, Ronan's reaction did seem a little.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
A little overdone.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
But
I think you just had to sell it. You know what I mean?
I didn't necessarily think that was a fault of that scene so much as the acting in general. I thought Ronan was one of the weaker parts of the movie. The guy who played Ronan, I mean, he didn't do it for me. Now in the comics, in the standard Marvel universe, Ronan's actually he starts off as kind of a creep a long time ago, but for a long time he's basically a good guy. But he's also a big hulking dude. He's not like this scrawny little guy, and he just visually looked a lot the costume was spot on, but I felt he needed a lot more bulk to him.
I didn't think Thanos was that big either. I thought Thanos should have been
sitting
bigger
the whole time, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a real person to play a guy that's that fucking bulky, though. I mean, Thanos, yeah, is super bulky, but they could have gotten a slightly bigger, heavier set guy to play Ronan. I feel like. Now, apparently, I'm not as familiar with the Ultimate Universe, but in the Ultimate Universe, apparently this. I just said apparently 8 times. Yes. Apparently, have you seen that apparently kid video?
Apparently, that's a good word.
So apparently,
Hammer.
Apparently, in the Ultimate Universe, Ronan is he's more of a douchey bad guy like he was in the movie. So I guess they pulled more of Ronan from the Ultimate Universe for this, which they've done for a lot of the movies. So not too surprising. But yeah, I personally loved the movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it was super well done. If I had any complaints, it would be Ronan I felt was a little weak. I didn't like that the Nova Corps seemed to be dumbed down a little bit. I would have liked to have seen a better Nova Corps.
Richard Rider.
Yeah, and well, at the end,
not
the guy, crap, I can't remember his name. The one Nova guy.
From Step Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, John C. Reilly's character.
Yeah, John C. Reilly. Thank you. So anyway, they they call him Centurion Day at the end, and Roman Day was in the comics was the Nova Centurion who goes to Earth and ends up empowering Richard Rider, who becomes the Nova from comics. So I don't know if that was a hint of things to come or just a shout out or what, but there's totally a reference there. And then I thought Dave Bautista's acting was a little weak for the first part of the movie. Like, it got better, and he hit his stride. The thing is, I mean, it was funny, and I like what they did, but it was a pretty big departure from the comics. Drax in the comics he's a very intelligent guy. He's a very dark character, but he's very serious and he's very dark, and he's more about, like, you know, just let's stab things so we can get this over with, sort of thing. And he was played up as more of like a dumb brute in this movie. And I get, you know, that they take liberties with characters in the movies, but, you know, Drax was definitely the biggest departure from how the characters actually are in the comics. And Gamora, like Brian said, I felt was a little weak too. Like, I love that actress. Zoe Saldana did a great job with it, but she kind of plays a lot of characters the same way. Like that character and Uhura from Star Trek, and well, I guess Neytiri in Avatar was a little bit different. But yeah, you know, so yeah. I mean, Gamora in the comics is like so fucking serious and such a hard ass, and just almost has this weird cosmic mystery about her, and she didn't quite have the badassness of the comics to her, and they kind of played up like a, you know, brief, like almost love interest moment there, romantic storyline between her and Star-Lord that, I don't know, almost made her look a little bit weaker than she should have been.
Yeah, she sleeps with everybody in the comics.
She does, but she's normally the aggressor. She's like all about like taking charge, and, you know,
a giver, not a taker.
She's more like you, my room, 5 minutes, let's go. You know, like than the kind to be like taken and, like, you know, like fangirling and squeeing and you know, and being seduced by some guy's wily charms, you know. So, like, you know, they weakened her personality a little bit for it, but overall, I mean, like, I'm sitting here finding things to nitpick, but I thought the movie was great, and I definitely put it as one of the top few comic book movies. Easily.
I thought my personal favorite part of the movie, if I had to pick one thing, as a comic book fan, and again, I'm not and never have been like a reader of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, I really enjoyed the part with the Collector. I know who the Collector is from other series that I've read. And I just thought that was, I really liked that bringing that element into the movie. I really liked that. What are your thoughts on the movie as a whole? Where would you rank this movie in the, let's just keep it to Marvel, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Where would you?
Batman vs Superman. I would put in the Marvel Cinema Universe right now. I mean, I think it's number one, in my opinion.
Really? I don't think, better than Avengers?
Better than Avengers. I liked it better than Avengers because it had such... Like, Avengers was cool, and I loved it, and I liked the way that they wrote the stories up to it, you know, with the other movies and kind of like the post-credit scenes and, you know, the teasers that it led to it. But this movie in a whole was so good because it was different.
Okay, so what's your top three then? What's your current top three?
Of the Marvel?
Of the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
I'm going to give what's your top three?
Guardians of the Galaxy, then followed up by the Avengers, and then, and I'm probably going to catch some flack for this one, but I'm not going to go the fucking Captain America 2. I'm going to go Captain America 1. I loved Captain America 1. Like that, up until Avengers, that was my favorite one up to date.
Okay.
But
what about let's do a quick census here. Brian, what's your top three?
My top three is Guardians, Avengers. Oh shit.
In that order, Guardians,
number
1.
Cap 2, Avengers.
Oh,
Guardians.
Wow.
But I gotta break it down like this: Guardians is the best standalone movie. And I say standalone because
Oh, you can't break it down.
is-
You can't break it down. It's got to be. Films across the board
Well,
Across the
of the
board?
Marvel universe.
of the
So
Marvel
like,
universe.
of the Marvel.
So Avengers counts the same as Cap 1, as Guardians, as any other Marvel film. It doesn't matter that there's more than one Marvel character in that movie.
Guardians, Cap 2, Avengers.
Okay. What about you, Topher? It's a tough
Yeah,
one.
I mean, if you're not going to let me give any of the cop out answers, then I probably have to agree with Brian.
So
those
all
top
three of you are saying that Guardians is the best Marvel movie out there right now?
Those
Yeah.
three movies are really hard to. Well, you didn't say best; you said favorite. And see, they're so close that depending on what I'm in the mood for, like that order might change. You know, like I honestly think those three movies are the best. I would say Avengers is probably slightly below the other two, but depending on whether I'm looking for something more serious or more fun, like the top two spots are almost tied. You know, like I think Cap 2 is a better movie. I think quality-wise, the way it's made, the acting, the script, just everything. I think Cap 2 is the best movie they've made yet. But Guardians is just so goddamn much fun to watch that its rewatchability, I feel like, is higher than Cap 2's.
Wow, I guess I'm...
If I'm sitting down to watch one, I think I'd probably put in Guardians because it's going to be more amusing.
And I want to justify my Cap 1 on this one real quick because since
No
it's so
one-
different than
no one gave a shit.
All right, go ahead. I'm about to be different,
Oh,
too.
I know. I know. I just want to say, since people go, the reason why I like Cap 1 so much is because of the subtle historical points that they drop. Like, you can watch that movie and catch a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Like, but even so, I love World War II films. So this
Fair
one is
enough.
primarily
It's your
World War
opinion.
II.
You're entitled to have any...
I know, but everybody else gave a little tidbit
No,
of why.
no,
they
you're
do
not
it.
entitled.
You
Mine's
follow
going to
me
be
and Chris say,
mine
because
is
me
going to
and
be
Chris
way different
are
than all
agreeing.
yours.
John's like, wait, I want to give the essay version.
Mine,
Yeah, I thought this was just a shot out. I thought this was like a rainbow in the dark, but no.
Mine. I'm gonna go with number one being Avengers. For me, that's right now is the top spot for Marvel. Second, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy for sure. It's a great movie. Third, I'm gonna go with Thor 1, the first Thor.
That's a good one.
I love that movie. I just thought that movie was very entertaining. It wasn't. I can't give you necessarily a reason why it would outrank Captain America: Winter Soldier. Definitely close, but I just enjoy.
So much you think it's not a very well thought out
That is the
movie.
weirdest looking Loki I've ever seen in my life.
It is the weirdest looking Loki.
It looks
I've
like a
ever seen.
Chinese version of Loki.
Aww.
Roki.
Oh my God, we're never. You guys realize we're never gonna be able to have Gene Yang on this show ever again now.
No, he just did that.
It's so wrong.
Damn, I hope he doesn't either. All right.
Oh, racist. Toby.
No Asian dolls were harmed in the
it's
making of this
Brian's
video.
Shit on the fucking mic.
God. Okay. Moving forward with the discussion.
Oh,
If
my
you
head
were to
smells
take your
now.
top three, okay? If you were to take your top three as you just stated them, and you were to throw in all the rest of the comic book universe movies, would anything change?
Dude,
No, because DC movies
Yes.
suck.
things will
Really?
change.
I would
And the
I would
Spider-Mans are
completely
like-
disagree with you.
like
I would
weak
definitely
sauce.
put Dark Knight at the top. So my three
Oh,
would then
yeah,
change
well, I don't know.
to,
No, I don't think
Dark
I'd
Knight, Avengers, and then
See, I wouldn't go top with mine.
Well, hello there, Mr. Wayne.
motherfucker is a DC movie hater.
No, just everything.
I think Brian's just like an angry old man trapped inside this dude. Like
something.
He just hates
What
everything.
am I angry at? I just want a good fucking DC movie. They ruined my favorite DC character and made him a light bright. He was a fucking glow bug.
That is why you're angry, is because you've yet to see one. A good.
I just watched the Green Lantern movie the other day. I don't hate it nearly as much as
Brian just wants to watch the world burn.
He looks like all it is Ryan Reynolds' head floating around space because they CGI'd everything.
He's got a big ego, apparently. I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch Days of Future Past again to see if I like it as much.
Oh, that's a good point.
The second time around.
Don't wait for Fox.
That one would be a contender, and for me, I think The Dark Knight would have to break into the top 3. I've seen that movie. That's like Dark Knight is one of a few movies that I sometimes I'll just put it on, to have on in the background while I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it's that good, I can watch it 100 times and never get tired of that movie.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Shia LaBeouf's gonna be Apocalypse.
And
I can see
replayability for me is a
Apocalypse.
huge thing for rating movies. So I'd have to put Dark Knight up there.
Justin Bieber's gonna be Apocalypse.
In the interest of staying on topic, I'm gonna steer this conversation back into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, you're gonna steer it right into Guardians of the Galaxy?
Right up in there.
Right deep into Gamora, and he's not gonna pull
get
out
a little bit deeper into So, Pirate, coming back to you.
All right.
What was your favorite scenes? What for you? Did you like the funny stuff? Did you like the parts of the movie? Because it was definitely a movie where it took itself seriously at some points too.
I love the funny stuff too. I honestly felt like I was watching a comical version of Star Wars, is what it felt like to me. Like it was very funny. It just seemed like a more lighthearted.
Are you saying that's a bad thing or a good thing? Because that sounds awesome to me.
No. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. By no stretch of the imagination. It was just it felt like Peter Quill is like the Han Solo from like Return of the Jedi, and Gamora is kind of like Princess Leia from Return of the Jedi, and it just that whole the chemistry that everybody had, when they flew around, even the ship was named Milano, you know what I mean? Like, so it was
based on Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, that was kind of Milano Millennium, and they even the ship was its own character, just like in Star Wars, And I loved it. I mean, I actually have a friend. Well, me and Fox have a mutual friend, and he's not at all a comic person. And he went out and seen Guardians of the Galaxy, and he flat out told me, he's like, that has to be the best movie I have ever seen, ever. And
that's a pretty strong. I don't know that I would go that far, but
he's a big Star Wars fan. But like, he just flat out said, he's like, dude, that was so much fun to watch that movie, that he's like, I honestly can't think of another movie that has been that much fun to watch in a long time. Like, there's movies that, like, like Topher was saying, like, everybody's always in the mood. Like, that's why you go through your DVD or your files, and you're like, what do I feel like watching? What am I in the mood for? And as far as, like, action, big, and the soundtrack made it like a rock opera.
The soundtrack was amazing. I listened to it every morning at work.
I was watching Flash. You know what I mean? Like, just the way the music portrayed into all the scenes. And that was the first soundtrack to ever hit #1 with no new music. Ever. They hit a #1 Billboard with 0 new songs.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
It still is.
Is it still? Okay. So
I'm pretty sure it's still...
That's crazy.
The way the music incorporated into that movie, like, it wasn't like it was set. It wasn't like most films where there's just some composer who just puts out some, like, it's just tone. It's all the music was there for tone. It was almost like the music was like his cassette player was like a whole nother character in that film.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Is I love the part that I loved the most about the soundtrack is the way that they incorporated the soundtrack with the Walkman, making the Walkman and the cassette tape such a huge portion. I mean, it wasn't like a pivotal part of the storyline, but it was a significant part of the story, to where you know, if you see a picture of that tape and you've seen the movie, you know exactly what that is. You know that his mom gave it to him, and that's the fucking one. You know, like that's
they
awesome.
made the soundtrack not just a soundtrack, but actually, you know, it wasn't just songs to listen to while you're watching the movie.
No, it was part of the movie.
It was part of the plot. The songs themselves were part of the plot, and they said James Gunn even played those songs like during those scenes on set. Like they paid a bunch of money to get a big sound rig in there, and they would blast those songs. So like the scene where they're all walking out into the hallway and they're kind of strutting down the aisle to Cherry Bomb. To Cherry Bomb, they were actually playing that, and so like they're on set, they were actually doing those things to the songs that you hear while watching it.
Yeah, I really
going back to the character, going back to the cassette being another character that I thought was even more like perfect was at the very end when they're going about, you know, like Drax was made to kill Thanos, and he says, you know, now that Reyno's dead, I'm going and Thanos is the one. So you have Drax the Destroyers going after Thanos. Gamora's talking about whatever. They're dropping hints about Jason Quill, Peter Quill's dad, and then he finds the tape, or he opens up the package, and it's Awesome Mixtapes Volume 2, or Awesome Mixes 2, which so now it even shows a continuation for the cassette for the next movie soundtrack. So they all setting up things for the next movie, and even the soundtrack.
Yeah, the problem, the only issue I see with that is that if they rely too heavy on that, you know, you can't, like, there's no way that they could bring in a third Awesome Mixtape. You know what I'm saying? For like a third Guardians of the Galaxy movie down the road.
They're not going to do a third Guardians of the Galaxy. They're only talking about doing the second one, and then after that, it's going to be the third part of the Avengers or something like that.
I would venture to say that if it does as well as the first one, they'll have a third one. If the second one does,
maybe his Walkman dies.
Yeah, or maybe we can just listen to Brian breathing into his mic heavily.
I had a pee. I don't know if you could see my sign when I.
No, we couldn't. Move your mic up though, so we don't have to listen to your nose breaths.
I was imitating Darth Vader.
Oh, is that what that was?
Jeez, you don't like my acting?
Yeah. You're about as skilled at acting as Kim Kardashian is.
You're not getting a good role in the Punisher script.
So
let's talk box office numbers for a second. You guys talking about like how well, you know, what it compares to and stacking up, and whether there'll be this one or that one. They had an opening weekend of 94 million for Guardians of the Galaxy, which came in on the all-time list at number 32. It was right behind Winter Soldier, actually. So, I mean, that's pretty freaking impressive. Considering this is a property...
Nobody knew who they were.
Yeah, no one knew who they were. I mean, yes, it's by a studio that gotten a really good track record at this point, but this was not an established property. It came out in August, which has generally not been seen as a favorable month for new movie releases. And most of the other movies on like the all-time opening list are all sequels. Like you go through and it's like the Avengers, Iron Man 3, several of the Harry Potter ones, a few of the Twilights, Pirates of the Caribbean, Man of Steel actually is number 16. A couple of the Spider-Mans, Toy Story, Transformers, Star Wars.
Where is Man of Steel?
Number 16.
Well, it's not in your nose.
And that was not the sequel.
Well,
so
wait.
Hold on a second.
That's a DC movie, right?
That's a DC movie, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure that's
and it finished better than Winter Soldier. You said
no.
That's not the bet we're having,
dude. You are totally putting your foot in your mouth right now. You have not let me finish.
Okay, go ahead. No, I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. I'm just stating the obvious.
No, you really are, because I'm leading up to a point here.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So I mean, like, for it to do that well, on an opening weekend is pretty incredible. But what I was getting to then was a lot of times a movie can get really hyped and then have a great box office opening weekend because people think it's going to be great, but then you have to see how it actually finishes, because sometimes a movie does great and then people realize, oh shit, this sucks, and then no one goes to see it after that. But Guardians of the Galaxy is poised to finish. It's actually about to pass Transformers for the biggest movie of the summer. So it's passing Transformers. It's
Okay.
like else.
Just in defense of my previous
Days of
comments.
Future Past. Well, I haven't gotten there yet. Days of Future Past is number 4. Spider-Man.
That's
2
fine. I know where
or
you're going.
Amazing Spider-Man was number 5. So I mean,
The
for
bet
it to
that I
finish
have
that-
with Brian
for it
though
to then
is about
finish that-
opening weekend.
for it then to finish
That was
that
for,
strongly was pretty amazing. So Guardians of the Galaxy is set now to be the highest grossing movie of the summer, which is pretty damn impressive
Yeah,
to
I
be
agree.
about Transformers. In North America anyway. Transformers is beating it around the world, but here in North America, that's incredible. Now, if you look at the list, though, of movies that, their box office opening weekend compared to their total gross, I don't think any of them did as terribly as Man of Steel. Man of Steel
And that's fine.
dropped
You can laugh.
so far.
That's fine. You can laugh all you want, but the point is that the bet that we have is Captain America number 3's opening weekend versus Batman Superman's opening weekend.
Well,
That was
right.
that was the
Look-
bet.
Wait.
No.
Isn't that bet off? Isn't that bet off now because they were supposed
No.
to come out the same weekend?
No,
But
First off,
he's getting
This-
Batman
scared.
versus Superman
He's clearly getting nervous.
from that date first.
Clearly you're nervous about this because it's gonna shit all over fucking Captain America 3's opening numbers.
I'm not saying who's gonna win that bet. Like I'm not
Well,
taking
I am,
sides
clearly.
in that. I'm aware you are, but you're the one he's betting against. Of course, you're taking a fucking side.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, I'm not taking a side in the bet of Fox versus Brian here. What I'm saying is,
Talk to
all
the
the
shield, the
all the
face
shit
don't
you're
understand.
throwing out right now, like that's evidence for his side.
No,
You've
it's
got
not.
yeah,
How
sure
is it?
is.
Okay, look at this. Okay, you just told me Winter Soldier finished in like 31st or something like that on their opening weekend. Man of Steel, which was the first of the Superman movies, finished in 16th.
That's
You
exactly
also
what I'm
said
saying.
in the
You're
same.
ignoring
Hold
the
on,
rest of
listen
it.
to me.
Okay.
You also said in the same line of conversation that the sequels typically do better, meaning that Batman and Superman will
It's not a
do
sequel.
better on
It's
the
sequel
second.
two.
It's the second Henry Cavill movie.
It's the second Henry.
I'm not saying it's
Avengers
not.
also wasn't a
it's
sequel.
not- Man of Steel 2, like it was supposed to be.
I'm
Anyway.
just
Okay,
saying.
I'm agreeing that it's a sequel. So is Cap 3. Well, I don't see what your point is. The point is here. The point that I was trying to make is Winter Soldier started out with a great box office weekend and then
But
still
weaker than
finished
Man of
strong.
Steel.
And
Okay.
then finished strong.
That's fine.
Man of,
I'm just
Man of
saying.
Steel comes out with a big box office weekend, and then because everyone thought it was going to be great, and then the follow-up, they're like, oh, turns out this wasn't as good as we thought it was, and so no one kept going to see it. So when a sequel comes out, what's more important is whether people continued to think it was good after their first
Okay.
impression.
What was
Who
the
knows
last?
when the sequel
What was the
comes
last
out, it's
thing
like-
that you know of from Batman?
What's that?
What was the last thing you know of from Batman? It was good, right?
But this is a different Batman, though.
Right,
Batman.
but the average person that is going to make assumptions when it comes to theater is going to be like, "Oh, Batman! I really liked the last Batman movie."
I think you're making some pretty big assumptions about.
I mean, I think everybody in
I
this
mean,
conversation is making some pretty big assumptions.
I'm not.
to be
I was
honest.
actually
I'm
just
not-
doing
I've been to the
straight
future.
numbers.
And then Kitty Pryde sent my mind back. And I'm here to tell you that Batman vs. Superman is going to suck.
The only one who's not making assumptions is Megatron Pirate over there.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
Megatron
Pirate
Pirate is yeah. He's back to visit again. There he goes.
Oh, shit. We sent him back to the future.
So that's a pretty powerful weapon, though. At any time, if we want Pirate to show up, all we have to just say is, "Hey, Pirate, you sound like Megatron," and bam, he's gone.
Watch this.
It's like a magic disappearing act. Oh
You still
God!
sound like
stop,
Megatron.
stop.
Oh,
no,
Megatron's back.
no.
You got try to shut your computer off.
Oh, we're gonna get in so much trouble for this. Oh my
See, it
god!
works. It's like
I
magic.
realize it. Don't.
Don't tell him.
He's not talking, so we can't hear him fix yet.
He's wise to our ways now. It really was messing up the first time, though, in your defense. I don't think he can hear us. I don't even know.
Can he hear us? Is he there?
Oh, he's faking us out now. He's trying to fake us out now by just holding still.
He wants to make us think he's frozen, but we can see him moving, and like the corners of his lips twitching. Yeah. There you go.
All right, guys. Well, that's about it for this week's episode.
What the fuck I get on?
What better way to end than that? All right, we'll be back next Wednesday. New comic book day, 12 noon. I'm Fox 2. We got Pirate.
Megatron out.
Topher.
I got nothing.
And the whole effing Brian versus DC.
I am not a thesaurus.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.